If you are willing to resolve conflict, then you have the mindset of a great leader and you understand how to act like a CEO. In this video, I will share 5 specific steps you can start using immediately to resolve conflicts. If you watch through to the end, maybe you'll even become like one of my coaching clients who was initially very fearful of conflict, but by the end of our work together, he was so excited about conflicts, he would go out and try to find new conflicts that he could resolve. That could happen to you too. You're watching the Professional Development Group's YouTube channel, and I'm Shawn Hayashi, an executive coach. We help organizations build high-performing teams and develop inspiring leaders. Please hit the subscribe button now and the bell to be notified the next time we post a video. I often coach leaders who are initially conflict avoidant. They are afraid of teasing out what's going on in a conflict. Part of what I help them to understand early on is that conflict resolution is the source of future innovation and future wealth. If you want to create something great for your organization, your team, your career, you need to be willing to resolve those sticky conflicts that are going on around you. So conflict resolution involves these 5 steps. Let's dive into step number 1. Ask clearly for what you want going forward. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you already know that I love the question, what would need to exist for us to, and now you fill in the blank. What would need to exist for us to create an even better product than the one we already have? What would need to exist for us to create a better customer service experience? What would need to exist for us to create team meetings where everybody has the opportunity to contribute ideas and solutions? Each of these what would need to exist examples are right out of experiences that clients of mine had where there was an underlying conflict that had been going on for a little while, but we twisted it around to say what would need to exist for us to, and then we clearly define the picture of what it looks like when the ideal outcome exists. Second, once you've explored and brainstormed answers to this question with the key stakeholders to the problem, then what you'll want to do is identify the next action steps that you want to take. You might frame it by saying, let's experiment with this. What are some actions that we could take as an experiment to continue to develop this? As part of the second step, I'm also going to ask people, are you willing to agree to, are you willing to take this step with me? Would you be willing to say for the next 6 months, we're going to experiment in this way? And I'm getting agreement from each of the key stakeholders, from the people that I'm collaborating with, around how we will create that momentum around creating a solution. All right, let's be frank, it doesn't always go that easily. Sometimes people don't agree. They say no, not buying in, not on board. What do you do then? That's when we need to determine who owns the right to make the decision. So based on the key accountabilities in an organization, people will own the right to make certain decisions. And as a leader or an aspiring leader, you may even oversee other people who have the right to make decisions. So as a leader in an organization, I might say, Mary, you have the right, you own the authority to make decisions related to safety and service. And if Mary continues to make great decisions related to safety and service, she keeps running, she gets the credit, the kudos, the recognition and rewards. If Mary makes some decisions and they don't go so well, and she learns from what happens, we can keep moving. But if Mary consistently keeps making poor decisions, as her leader, as her manager, I may need to step in and resolve this conflict that's going on. I may need to coach or guide Mary to understand why I'm going to step in and make some decisions for a little while and teach her a new way of thinking about or executing on this project. If you don't know who owns the authority on a particular project, accountability, or an assignment, I advise that you ask your boss, do a check-in, or ask the logical people that would make sense. You might be a part of a leadership team and you realize that one of your accountabilities as a leadership team hasn't been clearly defined. I bring that to the group and say, I've noticed we need to do X, Y, Z, and I'm not quite sure where that fits. Let's discuss what that looks like. Here's another classic one. Let's say it's a 3-day work week and you have 7 days worth of work in front of you that needs to be done this week, but it's also a holiday week. This is one of those points where you may go talk to your boss and say, these are the things that are on my to-do list. Would you please help me to prioritize them so that I know how to allocate the 3 days that I'll be here this week? Now that is an example of resolving a conflict up front, particularly when you yourself are caught in the conflict internally and the other person may not even know that you're in a conflict. This example of asking your boss to help you identify what your top priorities are given your time is one way of resolving a conflict in advance so that it doesn't escalate into a bigger issue later on. As you watch this video, please share in the comments below what are some of the most common conflict situations that you bump into in your workplace. Step number 4 is to continue to brainstorm and explore with the people who will be experiencing the end result. What is it that they would like to see? What are the outcomes that would be most important and meaningful to them? Getting their input, their fingerprints on the design up front and the deliverables is very helpful. Have you ever noticed that many of the best product innovations, the significant changes in industries are born out of resolving conflicts like this? Looking at who is my customer or my internal customer and what are the challenges, what are the roadblocks, what are the hiccups and the bumps that they're experiencing, and how could I solve that? By creating that solution and resolving it for them in a way that included them, you've now pretty much gained their buy-in that they're going to buy the product, support the solution, celebrate the accomplishments with you when the outcomes are what you co-created together. If we find ourselves in an impasse, we just don't agree. And as much as I've listened and as much as they've listened, we don't see a way forward. We're in an impasse. That's when we need to identify the right person where we could both go talk out our issues with them and have them help us make a decision. Or we need to have another strategy, the draw straws strategy. Let me give you a specific example of this. One of my clients, a coaching client of mine, had an ongoing conflict with his partner about how snow removal would be covered. And the idea was one of them said, I'm going to go buy a big, huge tractor. I'm going to put it in the barn and I'll be manly man taking care of the snow removal for our family. The other said, no, I want a snow removal service because you travel so much. You're not always going to be here when it snows. And so as partners in a relationship, we realize, wait a minute, we're equals. And this is where, as a coach, what I said was I would encourage you to draw straws. And here's the way it works. If you're not aware of the draw straws, one straw is shorter than the other. One person draws and they either get the long straw, which means it's going their way, or they get the short straw. It's not going their way. But the key to this is that the next time in our relationship that an issue comes up, the other person gets to make the decision. So if I drew the short straw this time, next time the decision when we're in an impasse goes my way. Now this is very powerful because in this scenario that I just shared with you, where the person wanted to buy the tractor, when he won the long straw and then really started thinking this out and realized next time, I don't know what the issue is going to be, but my partner is going to get to decide. he decided to hire a snow removal service. That's right. The snow removal service showed up the next week and started removing the snow. And he made peace with the fact that he was not going to buy a tractor. So the next step here in conflict resolution is to make peace with it when the decision maker makes a decision that wasn't what we would have decided. The reality is, if you can't live with the decision, then it may be time for you to go somewhere else. You need to do the internal emotional intelligence work to say, I'm going to make peace with it, that I'm not always going to be the final decision maker on everything. There will be times where I have to accept the decision and move forward in order for me to live a happy, thriving, abundant life. You are the only person who can do the internal work to release bitterness, resentfulness, and judgment in your life. It's a lot like exercise and financial planning. You're the only one who can exercise and do the financial planning that you'll need in order to thrive. And part of that also is this notion of being able to make peace with what's happening in your world and to recognize what you do have the ability to solve and create solutions around and move in those directions. If you are willing to resolve conflicts, if you're willing to look at what the real issue is and then identify what the real solution is and get into experiments that enable you to explore, you're going to see a new level of success, not only for yourself, but also for your team. If you would like guidance or an accountability partner to help you resolve conflicts in your work and in your life, I'd be delighted to talk with you about my coaching process. You can look below for a link that enables you to schedule a call with me. Hey, and if you found this to be valuable, click that like button below and let us know what you found valuable in this video. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.